You sound like me telling my family when they're like, "Are you crazy?"
Well, you didn't want to work on Christmas? They didn't want you to work on Christmas?
Oh, the Italian Catholic guilt in this house since I told them is extra.
Whoa.
And it's both sides, which...
Well, you got to get in good with Netflix now. Come on, they're going to be running things here in a few years.
Trust me, there is not a thing I could say to both sides of my family that would make them go, "Oh, that makes sense." To them, it's, "How could you do that? You're a mother."
So, welcome into Scoop City on a Monday. I'm James Palmer. We have all the fallout from Week 13. It was a huge week, and it's leading into maybe even a bigger one with playoff implications in Week 14. We'll get to all of that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that like button. That's what they say on the interwebs. We have a lot to get to. Chase Daniel, Dianna Russini, and myself in this one. We're going to talk about the Rams, that loss to the Panthers. What did that mean for both teams? How about the bleeding, the NFC and the AFC in the Broncos and the Bears? Who do we believe in more? We'll get to that. Also, some contenders really struggling. Both teams from the Super Bowl of last year, and both the Chiefs and the Eagles trying to find their way still, and the Ravens, who I think were my Super Bowl pick. And they are struggling as well. Let's bring in Chase and Dianna right now. Dianna, I think you and I were both Ravens at the start of the year. Were we not?
We were. Yes. Oh my gosh. It feels like so long ago that I had all this confidence and belief. And I actually even had it as of a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel now?
But
I don't feel very good.
I don't know if this works, and you guys tell me the rules. So James, in season 1 of Scoop City, we did the same thing, and I picked the Texans.
Yeah.
Can I now go back to that pick?
You're going to go back to the Texans?
Does it carry over?
No, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. Chase says absolutely not. Real quick, everybody, Thanksgiving weekend was dynamite. We okay?
Yeah,
good.
I gotta say, probably one of the best holiday weekends I've had in a long time with my family.
Why?
A lot of fighting, which is always entertaining.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? The time together was really good. I felt like the spreading out of the football games, 4 days of it, it just made every day feel like it was the holiday. So it was like 4 days of Thanksgiving in my mind.
It was less stressful to have all these games on Sunday. I like 3 on, 4 before. Yeah,
you wake up, you're like, oh, we got some games today, and then it just made the time together better because you could just talk about football. But we did the whole Thanksgiving's over, Christmas is here fully in our house. We did all of the decorations. And so we are Christmasified, Santified. Certainly. The elf is here, all of it. Do you have an elf on the shelf?
Wait, hold on. No. You do Elf on the Shelf?
Yeah.
No, you do not. That is like the number one thing I tell parents never to do.
No, I agree.
It's like all the support groups I'm a part of. I tell all these parents do not.
I agree, but Peter, that's our guy's name, and they now want to change it to
Saquon.
No, but it's funny that you say that because my son just yells out AJ Brown randomly in our house, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he just looks
Brown.
AJ Brown.
The elf on the shelf could be AJ Brown. We'll find him once in a while.
That's their new name. And I'm like, you can't change their name. The way Philly fans want to change maybe their quarterback and maybe their play callers, depending on what day of the week it is the way my kids deal with Elf on the Shelf. But it works though. So look, I'm with you on I should have never done it, but there's nothing better than 2 screaming little toddlers. And then I go, Peter's watching, and they stop. So it works.
Don't you run out of ideas?
I don't go crazy. I'm not like my sister who makes herself a candy cane and puts the elf in her ear, all that weird stuff. I don't do that. Pete just is in different places in my house. I don't really get creative. It's just, he's just there.
Okay, just there. Got it. Okay, Pete. Well, listen to this, Pete. We have 2 teams atop the conferences in the NFC and the AFC that we completely predicted at the beginning of the season. You have the Bears leading the NFC. You have the Denver Broncos leading the AFC. Bears at 9-3, Broncos at 10-2. Both these teams, guys, love to give their fans pretty much cardiac arrest in the fourth quarter, but find a way to win. And we had the Bears just absolutely destroying the defending Super Bowl champs this weekend. And then we had the Broncos going to overtime against a backup quarterback. So what I asked both of you, and I'll start with you, Chase, out of these two, which one do you have more belief in, maybe for a postseason run, maybe staying at that number one seed, but breaking down these two teams right now sitting at the top, who do you have more belief in?
Yeah, this is difficult, but I'm going to go Bears. And I almost went Broncos because of their defense. The one thing that I think separates these two teams and the fact that they can go on a run in the postseason, I don't trust the NFC conference at all. Like, I trust the AFC a lot more than I do the NFC, if that makes sense. Like, even the Rams lost, we'll get into all that. Here's the thing that separates these two, Broncos and Bears, though, in different conferences. The Bears have a freaking run game. And they have a defense as well. It's not as good as the Broncos defense, but it's really good at taking the football away. I don't know if there's anyone better in the conference in taking the football away. So
plus 17
I like
this year,
the
Chase.
fact. Yeah. And they spent a ton of money. And when they did, and a ton of resources the Bears did, it really solidifying the interior three offensive linemen. And when you do that, the first thing that comes to my mind, because I'm a quarterback, it's like, oh man, Caleb Williams step up into the pocket. And it's sort of how Sean Payton built the Drew Brees Saints teams. Like, hey, step up. But the more you think about it, it was because he wanted it to be like the Detroit Lions run game, man. He wanted it to be like the Detroit Lions offensive line. And it's just so smart. And the thing about it is you have a number one overall pick at quarterback. And I don't know if he could play any worse right now. It's not like he's playing like awful, right? He's getting in and out of sacks and he's just missing open guys. He's dead last in qualifying quarterbacks in terms of completion percentage. It's like 57%. He's dead last. And the Chicago Bears are the number one seed. So before I let Dianna chime, if I have this run game and I have this opportunistic defense and I have not played well at quarterback, think about if the quarterback raises his level of play just 20% over the next 6, 7, 8 weeks. Like, that's what I think Chicago Bears fans should be excited about.
And I think the magic touch on all of this is that they're finding ways to win. They've got this momentum, right? Where you no longer doubt them. You know how some teams you watch and you're like, oh, they're going to lose this thing. They're on the other side of it. And I do think it's such a basic football fundamental terminology that we use this time of year of the run game works. But when you look around the league, Chicago, Buffalo, Carolina, Miami, Seattle, the Chargers even, when the run game is working and they lean on it, they're always coming up on top, right? Because the passing game has been figured out by a lot of these defenses, especially this time of year. Also, obviously, weather is part of this. Not for every team, especially the teams that play indoors. But I think that is a big factor. And it was so evident that the run game was too much for what I think to be a very good Eagles defense. And so for me, look, the Bears hold the number one seed in the NFC. The last time they had this was in 2006.
Crazy to say that.
Ben Johnson, their head coach, was a backup quarterback in college at the time, right? They went on to the Super Bowl that year. So it's been that long, which I had to Google that a few times to make sure that was real, because that just seemed...
I was a sophomore in college.
2006. That's crazy. So here they are. And not only did they win by just playing really good defense, having a strong run game against the Eagles, they kicked their butts.
They pushed them around. Yes.
They pushed them around the link at home in front of a crowd that was pissed off. Well, I know we're going to talk about the Eagles in a little, but I think, we talk about statement games. This told me a lot more about the Chicago Bears in the fact that they were able to be the only game in town in Philadelphia in a hard environment with a team that's trying to get back on track and pants them. And
pants them. What a term. I love it.
Well, pants them. Ben Johnson took his shirt off. So either way, I'm glad it was the shirt.
He's sort of yoked up, man.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
Looked real good.
Usually coaches are so stressed out, they're fat, right? Because they're stress eaters. Like he must be like a Salah. Like their stress makes them work out more.
He's a stress elliptical rider. Yeah.
Yeah. He's probably on one of those crazy schedules.
2 backs too, which you're not even doing with 1 back. Doesn't matter which guy you put in there right now. They're running the football. I'll go with the Denver Broncos because you know what, guys? Every time the Denver Broncos have been 10-2, they've gone to the Super Bowl. And I look at what this team has. I think this is one of the best defenses in football. I think this is one of the best special teams units in football, which always is important in December in the postseason. Darren Rizzi's been doing an outstanding job with that group. I think their situational coaching has been outstanding, which you would expect nothing less from Sean Payton and his group. And then the one thing that jumped out at me in this game that they won over Washington was, are we going to start seeing Evan Ingram, the Joker, as we all were told when they signed him, start to emerge? I had a conversation with Evan a few weeks back where he was like, it's just not meshing for me within this offense. I'm trying to find my way. I'm just having a little bit of time to figure this out. Well, he led the team in targets. He had 9 targets. He had really that kind of juke in the middle of the field there, Chase, where he was left in all that space against Bobby Wagner. And goes 41 yards to kind of help it out. If that comes a part of their offense, they could take a step. I'm still a little nervous with Bo Nix and the way they've simplified things for him and the way it's been up and down, but he seems to make plays in big moments, and the lack of run game. That's the issue with me compared to the Bears. Yeah, no JK. If they had JK Dobbins right now, it'd be a completely different story. RJ Harvey, I remember having the conversations with people back in training camp, always wanting Chase to bounce things outside. That's what he did in college.
Speed.
Staying between the tackles has been an issue for him, but if they can do that, I still like a lot of the things that the Broncos have. These are the guys that have surprised us, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Denver, the contenders, the teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. Well, it's the Chiefs, whether it's the Eagles, and then the Ravens, as we talked about. Let's go right down the list here and start with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chase, I know after you watch that game against the Dallas Cowboys and they lose 31-28, you now know that this is a win every week. The rest of the way out, more or less have to do it. It's against all AFC teams. What's your pep talk to all those people you know and love there in Kansas City to be able to do that?
Yeah, look, I thought they were going to pull it off. For whatever reason, I thought they were going to pull it off on Thanksgiving in front of 40, 50 million people, whatever it was that watched it. And the Chiefs' backs are up against the wall. And it's such a weird thing to say because we've never said it during Patrick Mahomes' career at all. Because the worst he's done is reach the AFC Championship game in every single year that he's done it. Have teams caught up, Look, the one thing that I know about this team is that you have the quarterback I trust the most in the entire NFL. You have to keep it close. And you have to finally find a way this year to get over these 1-score games. Because I think they're 1-6 or there's something crazy going on in these 1-score games. And I don't know if it's your team, the Kansas City Chiefs, not having that attention to detail like we used to have last year, or if it's just a heightened awareness by other teams when it's on the line to just do this one thing a little bit better than the Chiefs have done. So you said it, it's a 1-game season. Like if you lose to the Texans, put a fork in you, you're done. But I'm never going to give up hope. I'm always going to ride with you because I know that you have one of the best, if not the best coaches in the NFL. You have you have the best quarterback in the NFL. And you have to figure out a way this year to prove everyone else wrong, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that have been written off the Kansas City Chiefs. And so it's literally forget about all the outside noise. Coach Reed would always say, hey, put on the horse blinders, put on the blinders right here. It's a 1-game season. And this is against the Texans team, which is they're playing unbelievable right now. Like the defensive side of the football, CJ Stroud's starting to come on. So it's not going to be easy. So if you can beat a really good team in the Texans, maybe some outside belief in you, but it's all that matters is 1 game.
Yeah, they're number 10 in their own conference. They lose the tiebreakers to Buffalo, Jacksonville, Chargers, and the Broncos. Yeah. Right? They're on life support. You don't want to hear it, but they are.
They are.
This is going to be a different conversation.
They're not out of it yet.
They're not out of it.
1-game season.
Next Monday, when we do this show, this is going to be this will be the lead thing we talk about, because this is going to tell us a lot about who this Chiefs team is. I still can't figure out if this is just lack of big plays that they can't make. Is this the offensive line? Chase, you did say one thing, and I agree with you, and Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. But who is playing the quarterback position right now the best in football? December 1st, who's the best quarterback in your opinion?
Dak.
Dak, yeah. That's who I was thinking when you said it. I was like,
Dak.
James?
Those are the two right now. It's Matthew Stafford still, even after this blip, and we'll get to it in a little bit, and Dak Prescott. I think those are the two. I would mention Dianna and Chase, you both mentioned that offensive line. There's 3 injuries on that offensive line we're going to monitor throughout the course of this week. You have Trey Smith with the ankle. You have, I think, Juwan Taylor's dealing with an elbow, and then the wrist for their left tackle, and Josh Simmons, the rookie. Oh, yeah, you have the Texans coming in with that defensive front. That's going to be something we're really going to focus on. The rest of their season, by the way, Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. Texans, Chargers, and Broncos all top 5, roughly top 10 in sacks this year. So that offensive line, really, I have my focus on them. You mentioned Dak Prescott right now, Chase. Let's go to those Cowboys. They took down the Chiefs. They're 6-5. John Machado, by the way, who covers the Cowboys brilliantly for us, laughed in my face a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, when I said, hey, they could go 3-0 in this 12-day stretch. And he was like, I bet they win 1. Well, guess what? They're 2-0, and it looks very plausible. They can beat this Lions team on Thursday with the way that they're playing. So, John, I want receipts. I'm bringing them right now. What do you see from Dak and what he's able to do and why this offense is working on another level with George Pickens and Javonte Williams and CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson? It goes on and on.
Yeah, look, the story of the season, I mean, it's been Dak Prescott for the Cowboys. However, Dak's been playing like this from week 1. I think the real story is a turnaround defensively at the trade deadline, what they're able to do, because now they're able to be in games. And when they're in games, Dak Prescott has been absolute nails. And we said this early in September, and I'm going to say it again. There's no one better playing the position of quarterback right now in the NFL other than Matthew Stafford. And I don't know if there's more being asked of Dak pre-snap out of anyone. And I think that's where he's winning a lot of these battles and a lot of these games is he's seeing stuff, changing plays, maybe changing it again based on, and you saw this so many times against the Chiefs, and it just looked like straight man-to-man coverage. And you know how Spags is. He's spinning safeties, he's blitzing corners, he's doing all this stuff. I mean, there's a couple plays against the Chiefs, which I think is a really top 10 defense that stand out. And there's no more play, I think, than this touchdown when they needed it the most. You're going to find the running back in the flat. And I think the biggest thing, too, is like he has George Pickens wide open on a corner, but he's able to scramble around. He's able to just do this like Houdini thing where he just doesn't really get sacked. He just finds ways to get people open. I mean, he missed the read right there. And he still is able to just get on to that next play. And I think this is just a microcosm of the entire game, really, but also the entire season because – look, I don't know, and I don't think Dak Prescott will win MVP, right? If they go undefeated, maybe, and he's the reason why they do it the rest of the way. But he's always in that conversation. It's always in that close conversation. Everyone's like, well, he hasn't done anything in the postseason. He hasn't done. Okay, I get it.
Chase. I like when he does the imitations of people.
This Cowboys team was on freaking life support. And now they're one of the hottest teams in the league. If they can win Thursday night, I do think if Dak plays well and they win Thursday night, you will start hearing like Dak Prescott MVP stuff. Like it will be out there along with Stafford, along with Drake May. And it's cool to see the whole progression and how this Cowboys team is really taken off.
Yeah, I do like that point that you make about the transformation, right? We started this whole year being like, what is wrong with their defense? I mean, this is a wreck. I remember talking to Jerry Jones at the owners meeting. Like, what are you going to do here? It has to get better. And they knew it. They knew it wasn't good enough. And they kept leaning on the fundamentals and backing Eberflus. And now you're seeing it come together. My only problem with it, Chase, is I'm still at a point where I feel like the Cowboys are like the Panthers. They can beat the best teams, but they could also lose to the stinky teams. Yeah. You know, like they haven't proven to me that they can be consistent against the good and the bad yet. So, I think obviously, like you said, Thursday is huge for them. It's huge for the Lions as well. Yeah. But I want to start feeling better about them collectively. I'm all in on Dak with you. Like, let's go. But I just don't know if collectively they can.
When you get to a certain place, because that's a really good point. When you get to a certain place as a team and your back's against the wall and you have to go out there and you have to compete and you have to win. There's something about a psyche of a team like, hey, no one picked us to beat the Eagles. No one picked us to beat the Chiefs back-to-back, those Super Bowl teams, right? And so when you do that, it gives you a certain amount of confidence. Like, hey, if we can stay into games, we just up our level of play. And look, they're not perfect by any means, but it's just something about that level of psyche in the locker room where you get on this run real quick. Like we were with the Saints in 2011. I think we were 3-3 or maybe 4-3, and we won like 10 in a row. And we just and the offense started going and the defense started playing and we started feeding off each other. I'm not saying this is what the Dallas Cowboys team is going to do, but man, we both thought going into that Philly game and going into that Chiefs game, I was like, man, there's no way. There's just no way. And
John
all of a sudden
it too,
you beat really good teams.
Yeah. Well, listen, you mentioned rattling off some wins here. They have to beat this Lions team, which due to our playoff odometer, that's what I call it a different name every time. They beat the Lions. They get up to a 42% chance of making the postseason. They lose. They're down to a 9% chance. But these are all winnable to finish the season at the Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants. That's the rest of their season.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big game.
This is a big game, and it's set up pretty well. It's been fun watching them move George Pickens around. He was sitting on the boundary whole first part of the season, Chase, and now that they're moving him around, it's getting even more complicated for defenses to handle all of this talent. The Philadelphia Eagles, Dianna, you were in a very miserable Lincoln Financial Field in South Philadelphia over the holiday weekend. It was a place a lot of people wanted to be before kickoff, and then I'm not sure how many left early. I'm not sure if you stayed till the end. I know you did because you spent some time in those locker rooms.
Sometimes with our jobs, you have to stay all the way through. So I had to. But yes, I was tempted. I did a little bit of a hybrid game where I sat in the stands for a little bit and then I was up in the press box. I kind of was jumping around just to get all the different perspectives. But just to take you through my day, just the scene, like the tailgate, it's like everyone in that city was attending that game. It was packed. I had a lot of really nice Philly people boo me to my face, like straight up double finger, boo. And we would like laugh. It would be great. And obviously everyone is just so tense in Philadelphia right now about their football team. And this was even before the game. So you can only imagine what it was like leaving the game. So look, inside there was a mix of, it was like nervous energy and almost like a thought, like if we're just negative, maybe they'll get so mad on the field that they'll start playing better.
Negative.
Right? Like, let's just boo them. And because the boos started early. I mean, the chants, the crowd yelling at Jeffrey Lurie's suite, like there was so much going on in terms of just action in the stands because everyone is so sick of it. It's been so inconsistent. We'll call it the boring offense, right? Which is kind of what the reputation is right now.
Exactly.
It's not working. And everybody knows it and everyone sees it and you feel it. And you don't even need to know football that well to watch the Philadelphia Eagles and go, this ain't it. This is not it. And I was able to talk to some of the players in the locker room after the game. And it definitely feels a bit like old hat. Like they're almost like used to the way this feels right now, that they don't have answers. And that was my biggest takeaway from talking to a lot of the main players on this team, that nobody knows what it is. It's almost like everyone's kind of blaming someone or something else because they're just so unsure of what it is, right? Like you have someone like AJ Brown who had a good game, right? He had 2 touchdowns, and he's sitting in his locker. He's miserable, right? Because it's not good. Devontae Smith, miserable. And when I say miserable, I don't mean like sitting at their locker with a towel around the head. They just look like they can't figure it out.
They don't have answers.
They don't know what to do. That's what it is. Yeah. They don't have answers. And I'm talking both sides of the ball. I mean, I'll say it like my opening line in every conversation was, what's wrong with you?
Great opening line. Yeah. Way to get someone to open up. Yeah.
Geez, you know what it was? I was just sick of dancing around it. Like I didn't want to do the whole like.
People appreciate that though.
Just like, what do you think it is? Right. Yeah. And everyone just had, a lot of different thoughts as to what was going on. And look, my favorite takeaway from it was probably from Saquon, where he was so beyond the blame. He's so over the blame. Like, he's like, forget the Kevin. It's not Kevin Patullo's fault. It's not Jalen's fault. It's not our O-line's fault. It's not my fault. Like, he actually didn't say my fault, but I was the one who was like, it's not you. He's healthy. He's just not feeling like he's found his groove yet. His point was, everyone's just got to start taking the blame themselves. Like we got to stop thinking it's something else and just everyone take 2 seconds to be like, what can I do better? What can I do better? And maybe that can help this Eagles team. Now, I can tell you from talking to people around the league, they think they're going to need more than that. They're going to need some scheming. They're going to need some change in their play calling, some things to figure out so defenses that they face don't know what they're going to do, because right now it's just too obvious.
Dianna, let me ask you about that real quick. When Saquon says, I haven't really found my groove, I haven't really figured it, and he said the other week, I'm in a funk. Are we just, to me, that jumps out, going like, why? Like you were with these, you returned 10 of 11 starters on offense. Like it's the same group. It's relatively the same offense. What does he mean when he hasn't found? It's not like he's a young running back. I mean,
look, the O-line protected really well last year. Certainly. And even at the start of this season, right? They moved people around. They were able to do some things that they want to do the way Philly wants to run the offense. I think with some of those injuries, them getting older, I think that's certainly part of it. I just think that they have to make some modifications to get Saquon going. And I think he knows that. He's not hurt. Like that's always like, you always think players lie because they don't want to admit that they're hurt. He's not. And I don't think he's lying to me.
No, you never.
Right?
You never would. No.
I just think that they're all frustrated. They all have their own demons that they're dealing with their own personal gain. But I will tell you this. Listening to Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio and listening to fans after the game and the fire Kevin Patullo, I didn't get that sense in the locker room from the players. Like nobody was saying to me, this is Kevin Patullo. And look, maybe they're doing that because they're protecting their coach and they just don't want to throw him under the bus. I'm not sure. I can just tell you, I did not walk away going, this is Kevin Patullo's fault, or at least that this is what the team thinks. We'll see what changes, what modifications they make. But for now, you heard Nick Sirianni. He's sticking with them.
There it is. Well, listen, I have to bring this up. In our production meeting before this show started.
I'm glad you did, because I was going to.
Yeah, I got you, Chase. I got your back, man. Because Chase's pockets or his cell phone do Apple Pay is a little bit more full right now because he called it. He called it 2 months ago. And he said, Dianna, I believe I was the one who said it. Dianna said she was the one who said it. And Jeremy brought some receipts. Mac, roll this.
It's way too early to say this, but it looks like, remember that they were barely winning games, but they were finding ways to win. And we were like, oh,
this man. This is with Brian Johnson. This is 2 years. This is
2 years ago. That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of play callers mixed in here, guys.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And Jalen Hurts is still Jalen Hurts, but that was 2 years ago. Remember how we were like, oh man, like, okay, they're finding ways to win. Exactly what you just said. And they're good. And then they started really struggling down the stretch as teams figured them out. I don't think that's going to happen this year. But I do feel the start of the game and the start of this year, even though they're finding ways to win, they haven't been dominant. And I like that they're finding ways to win. I'm just saying, like, that's what I'm going to keep my eye on the next few weeks is like 2 years ago.
Keeping my eye on it is correct.
Oh, man.
Should I cut my hair again?
Should I put my hat on backwards?
Is it the same hat?
No, it's different.
Mom look good.
Different.
So just quick, like it feels like that. And to Diana's point, you're like, what's changing? Something has to change. Like they have what we thought, James and Diana, they have what we thought was the best roster in the NFL. Yeah. Like top to bottom.
Don't you feel
Defense
like we
can
could stop Chase, don't you think we could stop right now and be like, okay, let's blame the O-line and we can rip through the O-line. Then we can be like, all right, let's blame Jalen. And then we can rip through Jalen.
Hey, what's the one thing that's changed? Hold on. What's the one thing that's changed? Just throwing this out there.
Kellen Moore is not there.
Yeah. Thank you. And everyone, really the people on my old show, I kept saying this about Patullo. How do you say it? Patullo?
Why is everyone struggling with his name? Kevin Patullo.
It's hard to say it. Patullo.
No, it's not. Everyone messes it up. It's so funny.
Anywho,
if it ends in a vowel, Diana's
we mentioned when Kellen got the job, and I had mentioned, and I got so much blowback. Oh, it's Jalen Hurts, it's Saquon. Anyone can call that offense. Anyone. What's the one thing that has changed? You said it. I didn't say it. And so you have to understand who your quarterback is at such an extremely high level and what he does and what he doesn't do. The players are pretty much the same. The defense is pretty much the same. The defensive coordinator is the same. The head coach is the same. What's the one thing that is not? And I'm not saying he should, but it's the OC. I'll just leave it at that.
No, it's,
so you think the play calling's been poor? You want to see better play calling?
It's very boring.
Okay,
Chase, it's very in the it's very in the gun.
As a quarterback, no, it is. And what if the play caller is sitting with the quarterback and the quarterback says, "I don't want to do this, and this," and the OC's like, "Well, I got to call the plays that the quarterback is comfortable running."
Yeah. I think. Well, how's that gotten you? If that's the case, how's that gotten you? At some point, you have to say, "Hey, I'm the coach. You're the player. We want to have this collaboration together. There's something has to change." I know Jalen doesn't like being under center, at least what I think it's not. Put him more under center. Get the play action shot. So you have to. At some point, you got to go hard stop and just flip it on its head. And like say, hey, we're going to run the ball 45 times. I don't care. And we're going to have to win with our defense. And we're going to have to do this. And we're going to have to do that. And it's not working. It's not working.
I do remember talking to people in that building last year when when Kellen Moore came in, everybody said, okay, here's a guy from the outside after the Brian Johnson thing didn't work. Why does the offense look relatively similar, Chase? And essentially I was told, well, he's running what the quarterback can run. But at the same time, you can still be creative in how you do it and manipulate it how you do it and do all the different things that you can as the offensive coordinator to work within the parameters of the personnel you have. And I think Kellen Moore, after you talk to people after the season, did a very, very good job with that in managing how the offense is structured and run with the talents and the strengths and the weaknesses of the people that are operating within that. I wanted to get to the Ravens. I know we've been chatting a lot. I just wanted to mention this is another team that we're kind of going, oh my gosh, this was Dianna and I's pick at the start of the season. One of the also best rosters in football, and we haven't seen them playing the way they're playing. Chase and I broke down a lot of what has gone wrong with Lamar Jackson and the injuries and people really not even respecting, right, Chase? We did that last week of the run and the way it's operating with the multiple injuries he's dealing with. The other thing that I heard, kind of making some calls this weekend, to this, it's like you never wanted to hear this because you never thought it would happen. Has Derrick Henry finally lost a little bit of a step?
Stop.
I know I told you before, I think he's Thanos. I think he's invincible. I think he is just unstoppable. But the guy has 2,552 carries. That's 24th all time. I went and looked at a list. The next active player is Joe Mixon down at 55th. He is in rare territory right now among running backs that are in the NFL. And this is one of the greatest players of all time. But I was kind of told at his size and the way he plays, even just the smallest little step can change the way things operate. And I think that's a little bit part of the red zone struggles that have been something with the Ravens and Lamar not being able to move the way he usually can with the way they operate in the red zone. It's just been fascinating to see. I never wanted to bring it up. Maybe I shouldn't have. I feel terrible saying it, but I had to say it.
I hope he does. 3 touchdowns.
I hope he does.
This is the last thing I was going to be worried about when it came to the Ravens was the run game, right? It was the defense we were flipping out about. And now they went back to Ravens ball here.
Defense was all right.
They've got a good defense, which, they've improved. Look, it's a hard conversation to have because of what he's done for the game and just how good he is. And I think we both can close our eyes and see him ripping off a run, in the playoffs. I still think he has it. I just don't think it's just the same version of Derrick Henry that you want to see.
Yeah. And you'll still see the flashes and you'll still see the 100-yard games and they'll still happen. But what's made him better than anybody is the consistency at that level has been unbelievable. And I think that's the thing you look at. And I mentioned the Ravens because we're going to go to break here because the Ravens play the Steelers at the top of that division right there. Those two teams for the division next week. We'll talk about Steel Curtain and what could be changing in Pittsburgh next on Scoop City. Welcome back to Scoop City on a Monday. James Palmer, Dianna Russini, Chase Daniel with you. And I mentioned it, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whew. People, it was a brutal one. 26-7. The Bills rushed for 249 yards. It felt like they were running exactly the same play, just to opposite sides back and forth. Yep. And they just kind of murdered the most expensive defense that is out there right now in the NFL. It would look like a one-handed Aaron Rodgers was a shell of himself that we're used to seeing through the course of his career. Chase, is there a vibe, have you ever been around it, to where you try to keep the band together maybe just a little too long? And a lot of these guys getting extended, and it's like, there's talent. They're so talented. We're just talking about Derrick Henry, but like it just starts to show its face a little bit, that you've kind of just extended it further than you thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, and I think that's sort of probably what's happening right here with the Steelers, and it's so hard to question Mike Tomlin. And just because he's been so good for so long, and we've talked about this time and time again, I feel like at the last 2 years, it's like, I truly believe like Tomlin is such a good coach, but he's sort of at the point in his career where he needs a change. He needs a Sean Payton moment. He needs a Andy Reid moment. And it's hard for the Steelers to let go, but you got to tear that place down, man. Like you like, and I say that, and it's hard to understand and say that, but they're just, it's old. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. It's been the same result. You've been like a fringy playoff team, get in, first round exit. Fringy playoff team, get in, exit. And that's just not good enough for Steelers fans anymore. Like, look, I get what Rodgers is doing, and it's great, and his time's coming up. Do they want to re-sign him? I don't know. That's for you guys to figure. I do think, though, like if they really want to turn this whole thing around, if they really want to like start on a rebuild, because it's not a revamp in Pittsburgh. It's a rebuild. I truly believe this. If they want to get to where they're going, and the AFC North is always really difficult, they got to get a quarterback. They got to get a franchise quarterback. They got to hit on a franchise quarterback. It might not be this year, but the next year, they got to hit on a quarterback that they love and trust. And here's the thing. Why haven't they been able to do that? Well, they haven't drafted well, obviously. I don't think that Kenny Pickett was the answer. And here's the thing, though. You're always in that middle to upper tier of drafting because you've won 9 games and you're drafting like 18, 19, 20. And that's never enough to get to the front of the draft. And I think that's just sort of the vicious cycle they're sort of stuck in. Like no one expects them to go win Super Bowls. No one expects to do all this stuff. And respectfully, like I do think like Mike Tomlin needs a reset. And I do think this organization needs a new quarterback. Until you have those things, I just don't know if you're going to be expecting in the next 5 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be a Super Bowl champion.
Could pick Jackson Dart. Just saying it.
I feel like we can run back a lot of what you just said for the last few years, right? Like
yes.
We get to this point every year, and it's in December where we start having conversations about what is the future in Pittsburgh. Do they need a reset? Do they need a change? Do they need a new quarterback? Ever since Ben Roethlisberger, it's been in this space. And I will say, I think from around the league, not in Pittsburgh, not in their building, but outside, I think this is the season where a lot of people are wondering what Tomlin's going to do next.
Yeah.
Could this be one of those situations where they have a conversation, he sits with ownership and they decide together that moving on is the best for both of them? But for all from all the years where this becomes a topic, because it always does, I'd say I've heard from more around football this year about the future of Mike Tomlin than I ever have before. And when I say that, I mean when you're talking to people who are planning on hiring coaches, when you're talking to other coaches looking for head coaching jobs, everyone always uses Tomlin as maybe an option in there. He's like on the list. Now we don't know.
He'd be number one on every list.
I don't know that happened. And look, I think a lot of people believe that Mike Tomlin will get snatched up the second he gets fired. And yes, it's easy to say that. It doesn't always work out like that. Remember when Mike Vrabel got fired? Oh, it'll be too sad. He won't even walk out of that room. He spent a year in Cleveland, like doing, I don't even know what that was, right? And
I think he had 9 jobs.
He did. He had like all the, they loved him there. And look, it worked out. He's in the place that he should be. So we'll see. And one thing that what sticks in my mind from my interactions with Mike Tomlin, he still has the love of football in him. That is without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But he's tired.
Maybe he needs a reset year like Vrabel. Maybe he needs a reset year.
Like there is definitely something to him where you're like, man, you've been doing this a long time, you know?
I'd be tired too.
I don't think Pittsburgh, I don't think the reaction would be horrendous if he decided at the end of the year that he was good, you know?
The Giants jump at that, Diana? Do the Giants jump at Mike Tomlin?
Oh, yeah. I could definitely see the New York Giants having interest in Mike Tomlin. I think from what they're looking for in a candidate, he checks off a lot of those boxes, right?
Who the heck would his OC be, though, with Dart? You got to build everything around Dart.
This is why I love having a quarterback on this show, because that's his first thought. I'm thinking about the situation of him, how he handles New York, and just all this all the crap that actually doesn't matter. But what you just brought up, Dart. Can he hire Brian Table?
You got wow. That's crazy.
Well,
that would be a big challenge. No, I think if Mike Tomlin were to decide to move on, I do think his market would be pretty good.
Huge,
be damn good, right? It's just we'll see how this shakes out. Because I also wouldn't be surprised if he stays, right? I think there's a world where he stays too. So we got some time.
Okay, listen, let's shift over to the Rams, who we thought going into this week was the clear cut. It's the first time I officially decided, I don't think it means anything to anybody outside my home, maybe my wife cares, that they're the clear cut best team in the NFL. Then they go and get upset, maybe the upset of the season with the Panthers. Their biggest home win. You don't think it was upset of the season? Biggest home win in several years for the Panthers. Oh, yeah, certainly. I'll just put this out there. I don't think there's a panic for the Rams by any sense. A rain game, that impacted some things. You see Matthew Stafford turn the football over 3 times. That just doesn't happen. Throws a pick 6, turns it over in the red zone, the short red area. You don't see that very often. And they still had a chance to win. They rushed the ball for 152 yards. They averaged 7.4 yards a play. They're fine. I think the Rams are okay. I heard some things about the speech that McVay gave in the locker room afterwards. A lot of guys loved that and where they were at. And so just let's give the Panthers a little bit of love here, Chase, and Bryce Young, maybe a little bit of love here. And what did you see from Carolina and their quarterback, specifically converting 2 4th downs for touchdowns?
The Rams are the most bipolar, the Panthers are the most bipolar team in the entire NFL. You lose to the Saints, which I love the Saints. Saints are great, but 17-7, and then you beat the best team in the NFL, and you have 2 of the biggest upsets of the season. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have 2 of the Green Bay and the Rams. And look, I think that I do think, and I want to show some film of Bryce's 4th down touchdown, because it is impressive. And I think Bryce, he's going through a process right now where it's just not quite consistent enough. But as you can see on these 4th down conversions, that we're going to show you one. I mean, this is 4th and 3. They're going play action. Rams have everyone and their mom at the line of scrimmage, and this is covered. But he throws it to a point to uncover the receiver, and it's such a good throw, because I've seen so many of these, and this is a great view to see it. A lot of quarterbacks just try to literally drive the football to tap me. But right here, he goes through his progression. He throws it over top the defender who's trying to step in front of it for an interception. It's not great coverage, but it's the throw. And we see these throws a lot with Bryce Young. But then you look at his film against the Saints, and I don't know if it's because it's division foe or not, but it just seems like he's right there on the cusp. I think the bigger conversation, and you guys would agree, is the head coach. Just what Dave Canales has been able to do there is I do believe they've hit on their coach, and I do believe a lot of it has to do with him. There's some Bryce Young stuff that's, hey, he's taken the next step as well. But I think this conversation with the Panthers just starts and ends with Dave Canales.
Yeah, which I think is still surprising some people. And this is not a shot at Dave Canales. I just don't think he was, look, he's in a small market, and I get all that. But I don't think he was a name that a lot of people around the league were thinking as a coach that is going to be able to turn this thing around. And he really has given this entire organization, along with Dan Morgan, some life here. And I think that's been really, really impressive. James, I love what you mentioned about Mike Sando in terms of ownership.
Yeah, haven't seen Tepper around lately, which is a great thing. Drinks aren't being thrown, stuff's not happening. On the scenes. Hey, everybody can grow. I think Dave Canales is growing as a young head coach. I think David Tepper's growing as an owner. I think he's learning the job a little bit. I just think when you think of Dave, and I know him a little bit, and he may be the most positive individual in the entire NFL. It's almost like, are you really like this? But he is, and you go, all right, where'd he come from? He's the most positive guy in the NFL. He's running the football very effectively. The Rams ran 3 plays in the third quarter. That's it. He's playing good defense, running the ball, getting some chunk plays in the passing game. Who does this look like? Does this look like his mentor, who he spent time with, Pete Carroll? So. Does this look like Pete Carroll? I mean, it's been interesting to watch. I think, we were questioning whether it was the right head coach and whether it was the right quarterback in Carolina. I think the second one is still TBD. But maybe the first one is like, all right, at least we're building something here with the head coach. And I think that's as important as it can be. Okay, let's stick in that region of the country, though. In the AFC South, and we had a big one between the Colts and the Texans go down. And Houston ends up winning this one. I will say this, on that touchdown drive, the PI on Kenny Moore is still, I think, one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I don't even know if there was any contact at all. But that leads to a touchdown drive for the Houston Texans, and they end up winning this one. I want to know where everybody's concern level is with the Indianapolis Colts right now, who were at one time the 1 seed and now have a 36% chance of winning the division, Chase.
Yeah, the Colts aren't winning the division.
Oh.
And it's really not that hard to say that. If you just look at where they've gone, obviously the last 3 or 4 weeks, and Daniel Jones, fractured, like, what? Like, you're playing, like, huh? And then your defense just is, and then the run games, do they sneak into the playoffs? I don't know. Like, I can make an argument that I don't even know if they're going to make it to the playoffs. I probably think they do. It says more about, I think, where the Texans are coming and where the Jags are coming. And so all of a sudden, it's like, man, like the Jags team has sort of been they've been sneaky because it's been up and down, and they just keep winning football games and no one keeps talking about them. And I think that's exactly what they want to do. And then this Texans team, along with the Broncos, best defense in football. And if their offense can just not mess it up, like they got a shot. And when, like, this comes back to the conversation, man, when you start winning games, you start gaining confidence. When you start losing games, you're like, well, was it just a fluke, or should we have, like, the Colts game and the Broncos, they probably shouldn't have won that game, and then, like, we're winning games we shouldn't. So I don't know. And it's a very interesting division, and honestly, probably the number 1 division along with the NFC South that really no one talks about or thinks about until playoff time, and that's just is what it is, like, But I do think the Colts, man, it's hard to watch the decline, and it starts with the run game and then the quarterback with the turnovers, and is he turning back into that? But also you put in, like, the Texans. It's just,
well, don't you think that this came later than we expected? How many times did we see people talking about the Colts, especially like during pregame shows, and everyone kind of was talking about them the same way, which is, this is an amazing story, obviously, with Jim Irsay passing away, Daniel Jones coming in, reviving Lou Anarumo, showing off at times, I think, even on defense with some of the play calling. I think that we kind of expected this, so no one's really as surprised, right? We just thought it would come in October. And so now here we are in December. Yeah. We're like, oh, well, maybe this is the pumpkin we were planning for. Now, I still think they have so many good parts of them. We've compared them to the Eagles before, right? Where they have a good offensive line, a strong run game. Jonathan Taylor, when Jonathan Taylor runs the ball, they win games. It's like that simple. It's like back to that conversation of, if they're able to get their run game going, they're going to have success. So I don't think they're dead in the water. Like, it sounds like you have a little less confidence in them than I do. But on the other side of it, the Texans are emerging as this team that we've wanted them to be all year. I feel like
especially.
I've been like willing this team to try to be good. And like, there's just like nothing was working on offense. I thought this was maybe another year where CJ Stroud was going to go through a transition of another play caller with some offensive line issues. And they just had just they just seemed messy on offense. Like they just couldn't figure out how they wanted to do it. And now it's coming together. And so you mix that in and we're going to see spots and flashes of the old CJ Stroud. Perhaps we're going to get the full package. You put this whole thing together with this defense with D'Amico, like they're going to be a problem in the playoffs.
I think that's the linchpin. And you mentioned it, another new play caller. I think Nick Callie's done a good job lately.
He has.
When you ask people down there, it took a minute. You revamped your entire offensive line. A ton of new faces in front of CJ Stroud. You've given CJ more liberty at the line of scrimmage, something that he asked for. And it's finally, if you talk to people there, starting to come together. They thought Nick called a really good game this past week against Indianapolis, that the play action game was done really well. He got CJ in his first game back. It wasn't perfect, but more into a rhythm a little bit. Chasing, you know how important that is between a play caller and a quarterback to play more in rhythm. They know they need to be better in the red zone. CJ Stroud talked about it after the game, and I think that's really true. That's the only thing holding this team back. You had a quarterback 2 years ago have one of the best rookie seasons, or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in recent memory. The defense isn't a question. Special teams isn't a question. I think we know they have the right head coach. If this offense can get 7 instead of 3, you saw the creative design. It's something I was told they were working on for a long time on that Nico Collins end around kind of that ends up being a touchdown, a really creative play call. I think Nick's been a big part of maybe this, or will be, if they turn this around in a huge game against the Chiefs. But I think there's a lot of momentum in Houston right now, and they feel like they've established their identity as an offense.
I couldn't agree more with you. The Chiefs game is crazy. Let's go back real quick, because I threw some stuff out there that I just want to, and Dianna is a believer about the Colts, right? So what's their record right now, James? Are they?
They're 7?
I feel like you singulared the Colts. You're like the Colt.
The Colt.
The Colt. What's their record right now?
Right now, they are sitting, the Indianapolis Colts.
Are they 7-5 or
8-4? 8-4.
Okay, so they're 8-4. So look, I just looked at their schedule, and because I want to there's 5 games left. Okay, they got a massive game against the Jaguars on the road. 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. start. It's sleepy at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. Like
they have not won there, Chase, since 2014.
Okay. Well, see, there you go. Come with them notes. That's what I'm talking about. So potential loss right there. Then they go on to the road to the Seahawks. Okay. They're losing that game. 49ers come to Colts. I mean, that's going to be a tough game with the way they're playing. Mm-hmm. Then they got Jags again. And then they have at Texans at the end of the year. Like, it's not crazy for them to get to 10-7, and then just 10-7, they win 2 of their next 3. That's what I'm thinking based on this schedule. Maybe they win 3. If they get to 11 wins, they're in the playoffs. But you get to 10-7, I don't know if that's enough to get into the playoffs. And so it's not crazy.
Fractured fibula, like we're saying it like it's a
that's getting better, is it, Chase? That's not going to get better.
Exactly.
No, it's not going to get better.
You know how you get better? You don't play. You rest.
Yeah, and so this schedule, if you win 3 of the next 5, give it to you. You deserve it. But you get 3 against AFC South teams, then you got 49ers and Seahawks. It's not an easy schedule.
No, it's not. You want to hear what Houston has left?
Go.
Houston has this monster one at the Chiefs.
Ooh,
and then they have Cardinals, Raiders, at Chargers, Colts.
Depending on Justin Herbert and what's going on with his hand.
But it's different. Those other 2, like you mentioned, Chase. The Colts have Seattle and San Francisco.
Gosh, dog.
They have the Cardinals and the Raiders, essentially. Yeah. And if you look at it from that perspective.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch.
It really will be. And you know what? The Texans have made the postseason the last couple years, and they made some noise at Arrowhead last year in the postseason when they had no players, actually, in that playoff game. And they played pretty well in that game. It's going to be a big one for us to watch. They win that game. They have an 85% chance of making the postseason if the Texans beat the Chiefs in that game.
Wow.
So that's a big one. All right, coming up, we got to talk about Lane Kiffin. This is something that Chase was very passionate about, I believe. He in the production meeting said, I don't even want to talk about it right now. I'm saving it for the show. Well, you're going to get that next. You're going to get that next on Scoop City. Welcome back to Scoop City on a Monday. James Palmer, Dianna Russini, Chase Daniel with you. Before we close things out, we've had plenty of NFL discussion. How about to the college game? We know Chase calls college games, so he's ingrained in that. You know my Ohio State Buckeyes are #1 in the country, guys. You know we had a big game against the team up
Julian
north.
saying, just saying.
We did okay.
Just hurry up, take it,
just
go.
saying,
It only
guys.
took you
Take a
2,400 days to get it done. My gosh.
Guys, we won like 1 million straight before these 4 years. I'm not sure, but there's a curse.
I know.
Okay, Dave Portnoy,
Picking like a
give me a
true
break.
Buckeye.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Lane Kiffin, we don't have a head coaching issue over there with Ryan Day. We had a nice plan from Urban to Ryan. Lane Kiffin goes 6 years at Ole Miss. This year he has 11-1. And now he has departed as I watch video after video, Chase, of fans yelling behind a fence with barbed wire at the top, flipping off
wild.
Lane Kiffin as he gets on a plane. They put his clothes still on the rack out of the facility. I guess you could go grab them if you wanted them,
So
if you were the
petty.
same size.
Like a Black Friday sale.
It was a Lane Kiffin Black Friday sale. And he is now headed to LSU, and he will not finish the season with Ole Miss. He will not coach the rest of the way out, which we can get to. But Chase, you're very passionate about this. I think there's a lot of questions we have. I'm not sure the NCAA has any answers, but where do you begin?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm passionate about it, but it's not for the reasons you think. Like, there's a lot of narratives going on around Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. And the first one is like, hey, Lane Kiffin is to blame. He's the reason why this whole stuff is not working, and he's all about himself. He's like, look, I do agree, like, Lane loves him some Lane. Like, Lane Kiffin, like, thinks that, and you have to have almost a certain amount of like, when you coach college. And my issue here, and it's just systemic, and it has to do with the NCAA. Like the NCAA, like, you can't actually look at the facts and look at the schedule and look at the system that's in place right now and blame Lane Kiffin for leaving. Like, you can't do that. Like, Lane Kiffin, to me, he probably has goals to win a national championship. First of all, he's getting paid $13 million a year to go to LSU. He's been at Ole Miss for 6 years, and he probably has something like, he's like, hey, I want to go to that's exactly what he said. I want to go to my next challenge. I want to go to the next thing. And so when you get offered $91 million and you get offered $25 million to pay your players, Ole Miss can't stack up to that. Like, they can't stack up to that. They don't have the money. LSU is a top 5 job. Ask anyone that covers college. They're a top 5 job, probably top 3 job in all of college football. So when that comes open, you're probably going. Here's my thing about it. You're having free agency, you're having a coaching changes, you're having the draft in the middle of the season, and you can only do that because that's the system in place. So do not blame Lane Kiffin for that part. There's 1,000 other things you can blame Lane Kiffin on.
Okay,
Lane Kiffin is going
part.
through the process. He's going through the process of what's going to happen. Now, I do believe that the chancellor and the president and the AD made the right decision. Bro, Lane, you're out. You ain't coaching.
Oh, yeah.
You're
can't
not
just keep
coaching. And so I've heard a lot of people in a lot of different places saying, hey, allow him a chance. No, you absolutely made the right decision. You walked out on our team. You decided to take another job in the best season that Ole Miss has had in quite some time. You're getting kicked to the curb, my man. But don't blame Lane Kiffin for actually going through a process of getting a better job for more money. Now, I will say, yeah, it is a little crappy with the kids, and you got to deal with that. But the kids are allowed to do it. And so if you're the coach, you're like, you want to do that, and you're probably going to take your kids. You're probably going to take that. I just think it falls on the NCAA. More importantly, what a lot of people aren't really talking about, and I'm not specifically sure what type of school schedule they're on, but it comes with the school, because the school schedule, that's how it's set. Like, you can only enroll certain times at universities. You can only is it semesters? Is it trimesters? What is it? So then the school sets it so the NCAA follows that. There has to be a schedule like the NFL that puts all of these players. I mean, Penn State's guy, we got him at Mizzou. He transferred out before the playoff began last year, Bo Pribula. He transferred out during the college football playoff. And that's the schedule that you're going to see this continue unless we fix the schedule.
Yeah, I'll mention the schedule real quick, Diana, just so everybody knows kind of the schedule, and then we'll get it. So essentially, this is why Chase is so upset. National Signing Day for guys coming out of high school into the collegiate ranks is about 48 hours from now. It's essentially now. And then the conference championships happen essentially after or during National Signing Week. And then during the playoffs, when that's happening, the portal opens up, as Chase mentioned, so players can transfer while other teams are still playing in the college football playoff. So if you wanted coaches to essentially change, think about it from the NFL. You cannot talk to a coach during the season. There's certain rules in place during the playoff aspect to where you can't talk to certain coaches. And so that is just a free reign in chaos of Wild West of the NCAA. I'm not sure what the NCAA actually does. Chase might know more than me.
I was going to ask that. Like,
what do they do?
I like to
what
think
is it you do here?
Am I putting what is it that you
do here?
And I say this respectfully, but you're telling me that there aren't a few smart people on the NCAA right now who aren't going, wait, this doesn't work. And Chase, here's my question for you too. Isn't Ole Miss as a program right now, aren't they better off having Lane Kiffin there to get them through the playoffs? Like, I understand for the future of them, you're like, get out of here. We don't, but like, what about for those student athletes right now? Why not keep Lane and try to win? They're not better without him.
No, they're not. And honestly, that's a great point. And one that actually the CFP, there are rules and regulations of the CFP. Like, I would not be surprised to see Ole Miss drop down in rankings, because if the committee takes into effect coaching changes, player changes, player injuries, and so they're going to get docked by this. I would agree that there's no doubt Lane Kiffin's the best for the job, but you got to think about this. Could you imagine the conflict of interest that Lane Kiffin would have if you were running two of the biggest SEC programs at the same time? And if you keep winning, you're continuing to run programs, two of the massive SEC programs at the same time until January. They're rivals. And so that's exactly what you don't want. Yes, he's better for that. And yes, he screwed his kids. And yes, he did all this stuff. But at the end of the day, he wanted that. There's just no way. There's no way you could allow a guy, one, you're going to try to poach all the coaching staff and all the players from Ole Miss. We're going to pay you double what you got at LSU. They're like kicking them to the curb.
Can Brian Kelly go to Ole Miss and just take over there for a little bit?
They already hired their head coach. Their DC got the head, not the interim job, the head job.
I saw
Chase, do you think this will lead to more in-season firings at the collegiate level just because of the time? I mean, look at the James Franklin situation. Well, I do think has free reign now to go look during that whole period of time.
I do think you'll see way more. And I think this is the first year actually people tried it out, and the coaching carousel was nuts because there were so many major jobs, including SEC jobs that were open, Penn State, Virginia Tech, all this stuff. I do think that it's going to be hard to make a coach make it through a year, because if you're a coach, think about this from the coach's perspective. If you're a coach, say like James Franklin, and you probably know, hey, things are trending bad, fire me now, because I want to go to my new job. I want to get a head start on the process. I want to recruit these guys before National Signing Day, which is December 3rd or 4th, whatever it is. And in that way, I can get a head start on my other job. So almost coaches are wanting out. And then think about it from the college that's doing the firing. We want a head start on someone else, even though we're due. And we have to, here's the thing too. We not only, it used to change, it used to be different, James, and we can end this after this, but like it used to be different because you didn't used to, as a head coach of a program, you didn't have to recruit your own guys. So you had to just recruit other guys, including high school and portal guys. You have to recruit everyone on your team every single year to continue to come back, or you're going to lose your program.
God, the NFL looks so sane compared to all of this. Like they actually seem to act like they have it figured out. All right, this was outstanding. I'll say this also: outstanding job by Marty Smith to get that interview with Lane as he was getting ready to play. I'm not gonna lie, I've also said like Lane didn't seem like he was even that confident that he made the decision. He was kind of like, I guess this is the right move. I don't know.
It's kind of his vibe, though. I watch a lot of his stuff. He's kind of has like
it was on brand. Yes, on brand. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the NCAA continues to do. I don't know, nothing or something. We'll see. We have a lot to get to the rest of this week on Scoop City. Make sure you stay tuned because this is a huge Week 13. That Texans-Chiefs game is massive. That Cowboys-Lions game is massive. I mean, they're all over the slate, and we're going to break them all down. Stick with us throughout the rest of the week. Dianna Russini, Chase Daniel, James Palmer. Chase, I appreciate the enthusiasm at the end of the show. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Scoop City. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. New episodes of Scoop City drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.